bit of weather this afternoon too. 153 Grub Road here in the last few minutes. A pretty good shower there. 75 Paul Hunt Parkway up through there is getting a pretty good shower as of about 30 minutes ago as well. Fairmont Pike in Walden at Taft Highway. An accident there. No injuries. East Brainerd at Mackey Avenue. One there in the last few minutes. Brainerd at Greenway View Drive. That's an accident. One on 24 eastbound earlier at Central Avenue. Hopefully that in the clearing stages by now. EPB Fiber Optics. The folks try to be Gig City's only local provider of the fastest internet and sharpest HD TV. You can choose two or more services and save 648-1372 online too at epbfi.com. The smart move right there, EPB Fiber Optics. Mike Wood in the traffic center right here, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
It's 5:07 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell. Here's what's happening. Be careful of the weather conditions because it has become very rainy. We're already seeing some wrecks, as Mike told us, on the highways. So be very careful when we're looking at the weather conditions because they're not looking very good. Today is Tuesday, and right now it's about 80 degrees roughly, going by what I'm seeing here from our weather center here at Hot News Talk Radio. And we're going to be seeing some temperatures that are going to be dipping down, obviously, as the rain is coming in. It's supposed to rain for a while today, actually, probably into the night, going by these figures that I'm seeing here at the Weather Center at Hot News Talk Radio. So be careful of the weather conditions. We'll keep you updated on that here at Hot News Talk Radio. As soon as we get more info in, we'll let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. There's a high-speed motorcycle chase that ended in a crash. A traffic stop took a serious turn when a Georgia State Patrol trooper attempted to stop a motorcycle for speeding on I-75 North at mile marker 318, just south of Dalton. The motorcycle rider did not stop, and the trooper began chasing that motorcycle. The chase ended when the rider lost control and crashed on 75 North near mile marker 341 near the Tunnel Hill Varnell exit, which is just south of Ringgold. At that point, the motorcycle rider, a male, was injured in the crash, and he was airlifted to a nearby hospital for examination and treatment. The Georgia Patrol says that charges are pending, and so he crashed on a motorcycle after losing control near Tunnel Hill Varnell, which is just a little bit south of Ringgold in that area in Georgia. There were bomb threats that were made against at least 5 different airliners. According to reports, at least 5 bomb threats were phoned in on Tuesday against different flights originating or landing inside the United States, according to government sources. They said that the threats were not deemed to be credible. 4 of the 5 flights, one each, were from United Airways, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and Mexican carrier Volaris. They landed, and the 5th, Korean Air Flight 23 from Seoul to San Francisco, was still in the air, scheduled to land on Tuesday afternoon. In Philly, police met the U.S. Airways plane Flight 648 from San Diego when it landed. NBC Philadelphia reported that a bomb squad, including some dogs, searched the plane and passengers and gave an all clear. The 3 other flights that had landed were Delta Flight 55 from LA to Atlanta, United Flight 995 from San Francisco to Chicago O'Hare, and Volaris Flight 939 from Portland, Oregon to Guadalajara in Mexico. Hoax threats have been made against almost a dozen planes over the last 2 weeks, mostly flights coming into the United States from other countries. And hoax bomb threats are nothing new. We see them against schools all the time and against airlines and that sort of thing. Probably they'll find out who did it within the week, and we'll be seeing some prosecutions. But we'll keep you updated anyway in case there actually was a threat. We'll keep it updated on that here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Bullying suicide victims' mothers filing suit against Polk County school system. It's been a tough few weeks for Angel Harris and family. They've been dealing with the tragic death of Harris's daughter, Jasmine. Right now, they're pushing a lawsuit to gain justice. And Miss Harris, Angel Harris, says now they're pushing a lawsuit to gain justice, saying, I hope they get it out about the bullying. I want them to take it more seriously. She believes that her daughter committed suicide caused by bullying at Copper Basin Middle School and High School. that she says the school system didn't stop. They filed a $300,000 lawsuit against Polk County Schools for the wrongful death of Jasmine Harris, saying the system neglected the issue, citing multiple times that they asked the school systems for help. Parents and community members have spoken up about their concerns. One said that he had emailed Polk County Superintendent Dr. James Jones just days after the death of Patrick Griffin to find out what measures were taking place so that this bullying wouldn't drive another child to the same fate. And the concerned parent said, I never heard from them, so I emailed them again, still never heard from them, and there was no sense of urgency on the part of the school board. The concerned citizen said that it wasn't until after Jasmine's death that he ever received a response. The school system will not comment due to the active litigation, but during Monday night's school board meeting, Dr. Jones said that this statement about bullying, saying, nobody in our county wants anyone to be bullied. To my knowledge, nothing has ever been swept under a rug. It has been investigated and gone from that point, said Dr. Jones. The lawsuit isn't about the money for the Harris family. Angel says that it's about the education. The story of her daughter, Jasmine, is being picked up more and more every day, sometimes with even national outlets, with some posts getting nearly 12,000 views. Ms. Harris says that it doesn't bring her back, but it helps me to know that her story is helping and healing others. So hopefully the word gets out about bullying at this particular school, and more people are made aware of it. It's in Copper Basin, where the school, it's a middle and high school, where this has been taking place. A woman who is 87 years old has been killed in a wreck near Tryon, Georgia, after her car crossed the center line. Funeral services are going to be on Wednesday, tomorrow, for 87-year-old Tryon, Georgia woman who was killed in a wreck near Tryon on Sunday afternoon. The GHP said that Vesta Marie Grainstaff crossed the center line on Georgia Highway 1 and struck a car driven by William Locklear head-on. Ms. Grindstaff died at the scene. Mr. Locklear was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and Ms. Grindstaff was a retired medical records technician for Ozark Mental Health and a member of the Somerville First United Methodist Church. Survivors include her son and spouse, Jim and Patty Grindstaff of Tryon, and grandsons and spouses James IV and Melissa Grindstaff and Jada Ryan and Cheryl Grindstaff, and also great-grandchildren. Funeral services are going to be held on Wednesday at 3 p.m. from the Somerville First United Methodist Church with Pastor Mike Pinson officiating. Interment will follow in Pine Knoll Cemetery. Visitation will be Wednesday from 2 p.m. until the hour of service at the church. Earl Rainwater Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. So it's a woman who died in a wreck near Tryon on Highway 1 after her car apparently crossed the center line. Police are looking for Jeremy Wynn regarding a shooting that happened at Hamilton Place Mall after an argument. The Chattanooga Police Department has identified the suspect in the shots fired on the parking lot in Hamilton Place Mall on Saturday night. Warrants have been filed now against Jeremy Wynn, who's 18 years old. Police said that he shot at a person in a mall parking lot after an argument inside the mall spilled over outside. It was reported that several unknown parties were involved in a verbal disorder inside the mall, which eventually carried into the parking lot. As the group separated, 3 to 4 individuals were walking to their vehicle when a black male fired a single round in their direction and then fled inside the mall. Officers conducted a complete sweep of the mall in search of the suspect. It was discovered that the suspect fled the area prior to police arrival. Mall officials made the decision to continue business as normal, and the mall was not placed on lockdown because the person ran. And the Chattanooga police officers did remain on scene until closing. No one was struck by the gunfire, and no property damage was reported either. And Wynn was arrested on May the 19th on drug and gambling charges. Police earlier said that they were waiting video surveillance to attempt to identify the suspect. The suspect earlier was described as having short dreads, believed to be in his 20s, wearing a white tank top and jean shorts. Police are asking anyone with any information regarding this crime to call 423-698-2525. That's 423-698-2525. If you have any information about the shooting that occurred at Hamilton Place Mall on Saturday. A fire sent a woman to the hospital. A kitchen fire late Monday afternoon has resulted in one woman being sent to the hospital. The Chattanooga Fire Department received the alarm at 4:51 p.m. and responded to 2161 Shepherd Road with several fire companies. Battalion Chief Jeff Eldridge said the firefighters attacked the fire quickly, getting the fire under control within 5 to 10 minutes. Most of the fire damage was contained to the kitchen and living room. One resident, described as a 38-year-old woman, was transported by the Hamilton County EMS to Erlanger Medical Center after she complained of difficulty breathing. And Chief Eldridge said the woman may have been suffering from smoke inhalation. Volunteers from the American Red Cross of Southeast Tennessee were requested to go to the scene to provide assistance to the victims. The number of people who lived in the residence was not available, and the cause of the fire is under investigation currently. A Chattanooga physician who opened a Brainerd pill mill, allegedly, been given 100 months in federal prison. A Chattanooga doctor who operated an alleged pill mill in Brainerd was sentenced on Monday to serve 100 months in federal prison. Judge Curtis Collier handed the sentence to Dr. Ishan Alamin, who later, or rather earlier, pleaded guilty to charges of illegally dispensing controlled substances and tax evasion. Judge Collier said that physicians who abuse their right to issue prescriptions should pay a high cost if they are detected. Alamin, who's 63, was allowed to self-report in August, but he must first serve more days of a 30-day sentence given to him by Judge Collier for 2 outbursts during his lengthy sentencing hearing. Attorney Hallie McFadden said that he had learned his lesson and was terribly sorry. However, Judge Collier said that it was the only time in his 20 years on the bench, except for a case involving a lawyer, that he has found anyone in contempt. He said Alamin would have to serve the full 30 days as well. This is Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, and we are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is on Twitter, where you report, the world decides. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. You can save half off now. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and search for, or rather click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio is saving you money. That's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. And Monday, Thursday, and Friday, we have, or rather Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, we have the half off show where we showcase all the different items that we have on hotnewstalkradio.com for half off at least. These items are at least half off. We have an item on hotnewstalkradio.com on the half off link. That's a Jeep Grand Cherokee that we have for sale. It's a 1999 model. It's red, 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Very nice vehicle. We're selling that for half off on hotnewstalkradio.com. So definitely check that out. That's hotnewstalkradio.com and click on the half off link for great deals that we have there. We have a lot of great programming as well here at Hot News Talk Radio. From 6 to 9, we have Don Imus in the morning. We also have Laura Ingram. She's a former attorney. She's been talking a lot about the immigration issue from her own very neocon perspective. 11 to noon on Tuesdays as well. We also have Laura Ingram during that time frame. From 12 to 1 is my show, which is Digital Drive. We've been talking a lot about the Patriot Act and these new revelations about the FBI flying airplanes up in the sky in order to spy on people's cell phone. They've been doing this through 13 different shell companies. We've been talking about that quite a lot on Digital Drive, which is my show right here on Hot News Talk Radio. Nuganomics.com is on after that from 1 to 3, where David Toulis talks about local economy and free markets right here on Hot News Talk Radio. Sean Hannity's on after that. Very neocon perspective. He's been talking about the issue of the Patriot Act as well from his own very neocon perspective. He's been talking about the USA Freedom Act, and we've been talking about that quite a lot. And that's also a breaking news situation which has just occurred, where the USA Freedom Act has now passed in the Senate and is going to go to the president, who's expected to sign it into law. For a lot of privacy advocates, this is a big loss. So the USA Freedom Act is now going to be going to the president for signing. A lot of privacy advocates see this as a very big loss, while people who are arguing for surveillance see this as a big win. The Senate has now passed the USA Freedom Act, which is limiting NSA surveillance powers to a very limited degree. Legislative efforts intended to reform aspects of the United States intelligence community's surveillance operations have cleared Congress and are now expected to be signed into law immediately by President Obama. The Senate voted 67 to 32 on Tuesday in favor of the USA Freedom Act, adopting the same version of the bill that had overwhelmingly passed the House of Representatives last month, 338 to 88. Backers of the USA Freedom Act say the bill ends the bulk collection of telephone call records by the National Security Agency as revealed in 2013 by Edward Snowden, a former NSA contractor, as well as brings reform to the secret court that oversees surveillance requests and increases transparency. and that reform is extremely limited. We're going to be talking about that on my show, Digital Drive, right here on Hot News Talk Radio from 12 to 1. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is an adamant critic of the bill up until the moment of Tuesday's vote that occurred, and he unsuccessfully tried earlier in the day to tack on amendments that opponents said would have weakened efforts to reform the nation's surveillance operations. Had McConnell's amendments come to pass and were adopted by the Senate, then the new version of the USA Freedom Act would have to go back to the House to be voted again, further delaying passage. So we went for 1 day without any form of surveillance bill post-2001. So we went for 1 day yesterday, 1 full day without that in place, without the Patriot Act in place. And now that period is going to be over as soon as the president signs the USA Freedom Act. So again, this is a very big loss for a lot of privacy advocates, including the ACLU and the EFF, who have been arguing against this. So NSA metadata collection is going to go back into effect. The only difference is that they're going to have to go to the cell companies to get that information. Not a big change. And we're seeing weather right now that is not very pleasant. It's raining quite a lot. And we're going to be covering the rain situation here on Hot News Talk Radio. There are thunderstorms, so keep it tuned here for your traffic update from Mike Wood in just a few minutes right here on Hot News Talk Radio. That's Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and HotNewsTalkRadio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Are you calling me Yeller? Them's is fighting words.
Being called yellow, not a compliment. Yellow, the international symbol for caution. Yellow. You certainly wouldn't want to eat yellow snow. Yuck. We typically avoid yellow. So why would you put your hard-earned money into an outdated, expensive, slower yellow page? Or even trust their advice? Especially when your hard-earned advertising dollars could go much further, earning you greater profits, using the multifaceted resources and expertise of Chattanooga Web Services. You want real results for your advertising dollars. The local Chattanooga media experts, Chattanooga Web Services, will help your business grow, utilizing diversified media resources that's affordable to you, whether it involves the Internet's World Wide Web, video, audio, or modern-day print. So don't get sucked into the yellow folks trying to upsell you into spending even more money as it ventures into a territory unfamiliar to them, the Internet. Call Chattanooga Web Services, 424-3373. That's 424-3373. Or go to ChattanoogaWebServices.com, ChattanoogaWebServices.com.
Surgery does not have to be financially painful. Hi, I'm Surgical Dr. David Red, and I'd like to invite you to my walk-in surgery clinic in North Shore. Quick Surge brings you immediate relief from moles, skin tags, maybe a laceration. Quick Surge. You walk in, fill out a mini form, I numb the area I'll treat, and before you know it, you're on your way home. Do I take insurance? No, because I take cash customers. I have super low and fixed prices, credit card, check, or cash. Uninsured? Member of the working financially disadvantaged? Choose Quick Surge. I publish prices online. No mirth, just sunshine. Hassle-free, pain-free. Love the idea of a personal relationship with a doctor? Drop in with a nasty cut from work. Quick Surge. I'll take care of you. Quick Surge in the Public Center on the North Shore. No insurance hassles with Quick Surge. The national medical system is dysfunctional, overpriced, very alienating. I'm part of the solution, and so are you. Come on home. QuickSurge.com. QUIKSURG. Relief.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
525 here at Hot News Talk Radio. Here's Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
All right, Russell. Thank you, sir. And good afternoon. Let me again remind you, got some power lines down on South Dent at Leonard Lane this afternoon. We are still working accidents on Fernway Road, right at Hickson Pike this afternoon. Fairmont Pike at Taft Highway. That is one. East Brainerd at Mackey Avenue. One there a bit ago as well. Fire calls, there are a couple. The Tri-County Volunteer Fire Department's out on in East Ridge on Boyd Street at Ringgold Road right now, and we had a report of a fire in a commercial building there. 4th at East 27th, East 28th, right through there, a fire call this afternoon as well. Mike Wood, the Traffic Center here, of course, Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
526 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell. Here's what's happening. Looking at the weather now, where things are not looking very good for us. Thunderstorms are all over the place here in the Chattanooga area, and we're seeing quite a lot of bad weather. Just looking out the window right now at the Hot News Talk Radio studios, I can tell you that it is raining quite heavily. I am a little bit worried about the parking lot being flooded, so keep an eye out for that. Make sure you have the windows rolled up in your cars. I know it's been a nice day. You might have gone out to roll them down. Roll them up again, because you don't want your car to get full of water. And I'm afraid that's what might be happening to quite a few people out there who aren't aware that it's raining. So be aware now that it is, in fact, raining here in the Chattanooga area. It's supposed to get down all the way to 61 degrees for tonight. Not going to be very fun. Thursday, or rather Wednesday, 84 is the high and 61 is the low, with more thunderstorms expected, about 50% chance. On Friday, 87 is the high and 65 is the low. Again, more thunderstorms, I should say. And all the way through the rest of the week, we're going to be seeing, looks like some thunderstorms through the rest of the week. So keep that in mind. And we'll keep an eye on that here at Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. As soon as I see another update, I'll bring it up here and let you know about what's going on here at Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. And this is Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is on Twitter, where you report, the world decides. It's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Save half off now. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com. Click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio, saving you money. That's AM 1240 at Hot News Talk Radio. The Senate has passed the USA Freedom Act, supposedly limiting the NSA in their surveillance powers. Legislative efforts that were intended to reform aspects of the United States intelligence community surveillance operations have cleared Congress and are expected to be signed into law imminently by the president. The Senate voted 67-32 on Tuesday in favor of the USA Freedom Act, adopting the same version of the bill that had overwhelmingly passed the House of Representatives last month by 338-88 in a vote. Backers of the USA Freedom Act say that this bill ends the bulk collection of telephone call records by the National Security Agency, as revealed in 2013, of course, by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden, as well as brings reform to the secret court that oversees surveillance requests and increases transparency. Apparently, there's going to be some sort of review board for the FISA courts, and the NSA is going to have to go through the phone companies and their requirements for retention are going to be used in order to obtain records from personal phone records. So we'll keep an eye on that, and I've been talking about that quite a lot on my show, which is Digital Drive, right here on Hot News Talk Radio from 12 to 1. So keep it tuned there to find out more about the USA Freedom Act. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is an adamant critic of the bill, and he was up until the moment of Tuesday's vote that occurred, and he unsuccessfully tried earlier in the day to tack on amendments that opponents said would have weakened efforts to reform the nation's surveillance operations. Had McConnell's amendments been accepted by the Senate, then the new version of the USA Freedom Act would have to go back to the House to be voted again, further delaying passage. With the Senate's passage of the Clean Reform Bill that's already cleared the House, the USA Freedom Act is expected to soon end up on the desk of President Barack Obama to be signed into law. And earlier this week on Sunday, the White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest issued a statement urging the Senate to act swiftly in passing the USA Freedom Act because the administration had determined that the latest edition of the bill struck a reasonable compromise balancing security and privacy allowing us to continue to support, or rather to protect the country while implementing various reforms, including prohibiting bulk collection through the use of Section 215, fees of pen registers, and national security letters. Section 215 of the Patriot Act, the post 9/11 counterterrorism legislation, which was signed by the then President Bush after 9/11, until recently authorized the NSA to collect bulk metadata telephone call records in bulk. And quite a lot of that was done just in the last 15 years or so. So we've been talking about that quite a lot on my show, which is Digital Drive, right here on Hot News Talk Radio. And that's only one of the very nice programs that we have here on Hot News Talk Radio. We also have Don Imus in the morning. We have Laura Ingram. And we have my show again, which is Digital Drive, where we talk about technology and quite a bit more. Nuganomics.com with David Toulis is the show where he talks about local economy and free markets here on Hot News Talk Radio. And Sean Hannity is on after that, where he talks about all sorts of different issues. His own very neocon perspective. He's been talking about immigration with Ann Coulter. He's been talking about the different political candidates as they've been running for president. So if you're interested in that, definitely tune in to Sean Hannity. Hot News Now is what you're hearing right now. We're going to be on until about 6, where we're talking about the local news, the national news, and sometimes even the international news, definitely regional news. We've been hitting quite hard right here on Hot News Talk Radio. A computer glitch has grounded all domestic United Airlines flights. According to a report, a computer glitch forced United Airlines, which is the world's second largest commercial air provider, to momentarily halt all scheduled domestic takeoffs. For 39 minutes, this morning, all United Airlines flights expected to depart within the United States were grounded while the airline addressed automation issues. An advisory from the Federal Aviation Administration's Air Traffic Control System Command Center said unspecified automation issues had prompted the FAA to announce a ground stop to all United Airlines flights within the United States. And according to Bloomberg, Tuesday's incident marks the third time this year that United passengers suffered because of the the airline's computer issues. Shares in UA's parent company, United Continental Holdings, initially fell by 3.5% after the ground stop announcement was made before beginning to rebound. United is still reeling from criticism after news reports surfaced earlier this week detailing the plight of a Muslim passenger, Tahera Ahmad, who said that she was refused an open can of soda while traveling from Chicago, Illinois to Washington, D.C. because her flight attendant said that she might use it as a weapon. So quite a lot of controversy was caused by that as well. The Pentagon apparently shipped live anthrax to Canada and Australia, not just within the United States. And there's been quite a few reports now about the Pentagon shipping different amounts of anthrax around the world. And now it's come out that they actually shipped anthrax to Canada and Australia as well, making that 3 nations, including the not including the United States, where different anthrax samples have been shipped, live anthrax samples that put quite a few people in danger. There's a high-speed motorcycle chase that ended in a crash, according to reports. A traffic stop took a serious turn when a Georgia State Patrol trooper attempted to stop a motorcycle for speeding on Tuesday on I-75 North at mile marker 318, just south of Dalton. The motorcycle rider didn't stop, and the trooper began chasing the motorcycle. The chase ended when the rider lost control and crashed on I-75 North near mile marker 341 near the Tunnel Hill Varnell exit. The motorcycle rider, who's a male, was injured in the crash and airlifted to a nearby hospital for examination and treatment. GSP says that charges are still pending. That's the Georgia State Patrol. Bomb threats were made to at least 5 different schools, or rather 5 different airliners, I should say. According to reports, at least 5 bomb threats were phoned in on Tuesday against flights originating or landing in the United States, according to government sources. The sources said that the threats were not deemed to be credible. 4 of the 5 flights, one of each from the United States Airways, Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and the Mexican carrier Volaris, when they landed. The 5th, which is Korean Air Flight 23 from Seoul to San Francisco, was still in the air when the threats were made, and they were scheduled to land on Tuesday afternoon. In Philadelphia, police met the U.S. Airways plane Flight 648 from San Diego when it landed, and there were reports that a bomb squad, including dogs, searched the plane and passengers and gave them an all clear. The 3 other flights that landed were Delta Flight 55 from Los Angeles to Atlanta, United Flight 995 from San Francisco to Chicago O'Hare, and Volaris Flight 939 from Portland, Oregon to Guadalajara in Mexico. Hoax threats have been made against almost a dozen planes over the last 2 weeks, mostly flights coming into the United States from other countries. So we'll be keeping an eye on that here on Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. An 87-year-old woman was killed in a wreck near Tryon, Georgia, after her car crossed into the center lane, according to reports. Funeral services are going to be held tomorrow for an 87-year-old Tryon, Georgia woman who was killed in a wreck near Tryon on Sunday afternoon. The Georgia Highway Patrol says Vesta Marie Grindstaff crossed the center line on Georgia Highway 1 and struck a car driven by William Locklear head-on. Ms. Grindstaff died at the scene. Mr. Locklear was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, and Ms. Grindstaff was a retired medical records technician for Ozark Mental Health and a member of the Somerville First United Methodist Church. Survivors include her son and spouse, Jim and Patty Grindstaff of Tryon, and many grandsons and great-grandchildren as well. The funeral services will be held on Wednesday at 3 p.m. from the Somerville First United Methodist Church with Pastor Mike Pinson officiating. Interment will follow at Pine Knoll Cemetery. Visitation will be Wednesday from 2 p.m. until the hour of service at the church. And Earl Rainwater Funeral Home is in charge of those arrangements. So if anything else comes of that, we'll let you know. In case there's any rescheduling, we'll let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio. Police are now looking for Jeremy Wynn in the firing of a shot on the parking lot at Hamilton Place Mall after an argument. Apparently nobody was hurt and there was no damage to property, but the Chattanooga Police Department has identified the suspect in the shot fired in the parking lot of Hamilton Place Mall on Saturday night. Warrants have now been filed against Jeremy Wynn, who's 18. Police said a shot was fired on the mall parking lot after an argument inside the mall spilled over outside. It was reported that several unknown parties were involved in a verbal disorder inside the mall, which eventually carried over into the parking lot. As the group separated, 3 to 4 individuals were walking to their vehicle when a black male fired a single round in their direction and fled inside the mall. Officers conducted a complete sweep of the mall in search of that suspect. It was discovered that the suspect fled the area prior to the police arrival. Mall officials made the decision to continue business as normal, and the mall was not placed on lockdown. Chattanooga police officers did remain on scene until closing, and no one was struck by the gunfire and no property damage was reported. Wynn was arrested on May the 19th on drug and gambling charges. Police earlier said that they were awaiting video surveillance to attempt to identify the suspect. The suspect earlier was described as having short dreads, believed to be in his 20s, and wearing a white tank top and jean shorts. Chattanooga police are now asking anyone with any information regarding this crime to call 423-698-2525. That's 423-698-2525 if you have any information about anyone regarding this crime. A fire sent a woman to the hospital for possible smoke inhalation. Kitchen fire late Monday afternoon has resulted in one woman being sent to the hospital. The Chattanooga Fire Department received the alarm at 4:51 p.m. and responded to 2161 Shepherd Road with several fire companies. Battalion Chief Jeff Eldridge said the firefighters attacked the fire pretty quickly, and it was put out as well. Battalion Chief said that it was under control in about 5 to 10 minutes. Most of the fire damage was contained to the kitchen and the living room as well. One resident, described as 38-year-old woman, was transported by Hamilton County EMS to Erlanger Medical Center after she complained of difficulty breathing. Chief Eldridge said the woman may have been suffering from smoke inhalation. Volunteers with the American Red Cross of Southeast Tennessee were requested to go to the scene to provide assistance to victims. The number of people who lived in the residence was not available, and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. And if we find out what the cause was, we'll let you know here on Hot News Talk Radio. The weather is not looking very nice for us here in the Chattanooga area. It's about 84 degrees right now, according to reports that we're getting. About 84 degrees right now in the area. And I'm trying to get an update on that to let you know if it's changed. It should be in around the 70s. 73 now is the updated temperature. It is 73 here in the Chattanooga area. And we are seeing some rain showers around the place. We have been hearing some thunder as well just here at the studios. So it's not been looking very nice in terms of weather. And it's about supposed to be about 84 degrees tomorrow with more rain expected. On Thursday, 85 is a high, 64 is a low. And on Friday, 87 is a high and 65 is a low. Saturday, expecting some rain showers then as well, about 50% chance of that happening, with 86 as the high and 67 as the low on Saturday. Sunday, 20% chance of precipitation. Monday and Tuesday, we're expecting to see some precipitation as well. So keep an eye on that, or we'll be keeping an eye on that, I should say, here on Hot News Talk Radio in case anything changes. And again, the breaking news today is that the USA Freedom Act has passed in the Senate and is going to be going through to the president for a vote, or rather for a signature, not a vote, for a signature. So we'll keep you updated on that situation. I'm going to be talking about that quite a lot tomorrow on Digital Drive, which is my show from 12 to 1 right here on Hot News Talk Radio. So the USA Freedom Act has passed, and they're expecting that we're going to be seeing very little amounts of reform in the USA Freedom Act. What exactly it does, we'll let you know, again, on Hot News Talk Radio here on Digital Drive, which is my show from 12 to 1. We're going to be talking about the USA Freedom Act and what exactly it means right here on Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. And this is Hot News Talk Radio, where we are everywhere. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com or download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. And Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. It's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Trade Bank. Call now to get access to nearly 400 local businesses. Trade Bank. Call 877-2202. 877-2202. Trade Bank. You want to increase your cash flow, your competitive edge, attract new customers, and build a loyal customer base. You need Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call right now, 877-2202. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, TradeBank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card with trade credits to spend any way you want with our wide variety of Trade Bank partners. For almost 30 years, Trade Bank has been your voice for small business, a member of the American Bankers Association, and in good standing with you. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation, 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
If you have the DTs, the shakes, because your phone is on the fritz, you have nomophobia. You need help. Your telecom doctor is in. Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall. Cell Surgeon yanks open the ribcage of your phone, pries out the dead heart, and puts in the beating life that you lead on your cell phone. Broken screen, phone not charging, water damage, battery given out? Cell Surgeon at Northgate Mall next to Old Chicago Pizza. Check us out on Facebook. Open Sunday. Cell Surgeon. We bring your phone back to life.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
543 here at Hot News Talk Radio. Here's Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
And let's go back to Fernway Road there. Russell at Hicks and Pike, an earlier accident, one earlier too on Fairmont Pike in Walden and Taft Highway. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, I believe, still out on that one. 27 northbound at the 24, broken down in the right lane. Backing us up, TDOT is on the scene. Got some marble-sized hail reported in Chatsworth this afternoon as well. The Riverbend Festival setup continues. Riverfront Parkway closed, Chestnut to Aquarium Way. Keep that in mind. Mike Wood, the Traffic Center, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
544 here at Hot News Talk Radio. I'm Russell. Here's what's happening. Looking at the weather, you heard it here. There's some pebble-sized hail expected, or rather has been seen around Chatsworth. So if you're in the Chatsworth area, be cautious. There has been some hail spotted, so be careful. And that hail, of course, if it's there, it could be in other places as well. And if you have seen hail, definitely let us know. Obviously, we can't be everywhere at once. Let us know on Twitter if you've seen hail and where you've seen it, and we'll retweet you and that's Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. That's Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, where you report the world decides. If you've seen hail, let us know. Send us a picture of it, and we'll retweet it and give you credit, of course, here on Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. So definitely keep that in mind. That's Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. A Chattanooga physician who operated a pill mill, allegedly, is in Brainerd, has now been sentenced on Monday to serve 100 months in federal prison. Judge Curtis Collier, who handed the sentence to Dr. Ishan Alamin, who earlier pleaded guilty to charges of illegally dispensing controlled substances and tax evasion, has now been sentenced to 100 months in federal prison. Judge Collier said that physicians who abuse their right to issue prescriptions should pay a high cost if it is detected. Alamin, who's 63, was allowed to self-report in August. But first, he must serve 3 more days of a 30-day sentence given to him by Judge Collier for 2 outbursts during his lengthy sentencing hearing. Attorney Hallie McFadden said that he had learned his lesson and was terribly sorry. However, Judge Collier said that it was the only time in his 20 years on the bench, except for a case involving a lawyer, that he had found anyone in contempt. He said Alamin would have to serve the full 30 days. Attorneys on both sides hired experts on the issue of how many of 4,400 patients' files involve fraud. The prosecution focused on 5 of the patient files. Alamin faced a 105-count indictment as well as a bill of information. Alamin began operating on the O'Neill Medical Clinic in Brainerd back in 1996, about 20 years ago. Prosecutor James Brooks said undercover agents went to the clinic and were able to obtain pills. At the time of his arrest, Alamin was found with 2 firearms as well. It doesn't appear that there are any charges against him regarding those firearms, but if anything else pops up, we'll let you know. Again, here on Hot News Talk Radio. In 2006, he reported his taxable income as $53,286 when it should have been, according to the feds, $262,871. He should have owed, according to the feds, $93,092, according to the indictment. Agents seized cash at several locations, including $10,322 and $9,027 at O'Neill Medical Clinic at 4719 Brainerd Road, Suite C, and $3,342 from Salud Medical Walk-In Clinic on Brainerd Road as well, and $510.25 from Sweetbriar Avenue. Those seizures were made on April the 15th of 2010. The government is asking that the cash be forfeited along with other assets. Alamin is also known as Robert O'Neill Robinson Jr. That's his alias, and his real name is Ishan Alamin. So he's being accused of running a pill mill, and we'll let you know on any updates that occur on that here on Hot News Talk Radio. If any charges regarding those firearms come out, we'll definitely let you know as soon as we can here on Hot News Talk Radio. There's a protest in Chattanooga regarding the police and their funding and the budget. A dozen protesters were standing outside Chattanooga City Hall. They're against the Chattanooga Police Department receiving a $60.7 million next fiscal year. Concerned Citizens for Justice is leading that effort. Members say the police department is expected to get about $5 million more than last year, and that's more funding than any other city agency. Mark Gillian with Concerned Citizens for Justice said that we really urge people to look into this, look into the budget, and just recognize that we've given over $500 million to the police for the last 10 years, and that hasn't stopped crime and hasn't stopped violence. So we need to take a new approach, he says. The Chattanooga City Council is expected to vote on the issue in the coming days, and Concerned Citizens for Justice have been protesting that at City Hall. Hamilton's county school board members, I should say, are going to be in a bit of trouble, according to these reports. Anyway, the Hamilton County School Board is seeing some issues with different parents, and actually over in Copper Hill, we've been seeing a problem where they've been seeing issues with bullying, and Miss Angel Harris has been talking about that quite a lot, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Right now, the Hamilton County School Board has passed an amended budget, where Hamilton's County School Board members have passed an amended budget on Monday, and it doesn't include a tax increase, according to them. The Hamilton County Board of Education sought a $34 million budget increase for next year's budget. Superintendent Rick Smith pushed for a 40-cent property tax increase to raise this money, but last week, Hamilton County Mayor Jim Coppinger rejected it. He came to several of my community meetings, said Rick Smith, the superintendent. He heard what was said. He saw reaction from the public. And yes, there are people who are not and never will be pleased about raising taxes, but they also understand the need. Smith made an exhaustive pitch of his proposal this spring. Smith says, I toured the entire county. I met with every faculty in our school system to face, and I felt like that was important, and I heard from them and they heard from me. Well, after the mayor's rejection, the board met Monday to discuss the amended budget, and the additional revenue request dropped from $34 million to $87 million. It passed the board 6-2. Most notably, it was a drop in the salary increase proposal from a 5% raise to a 2% raise. So any adjustments to the budget that we find out, we'll let you know about here on Hot News Talk Radio. Again, looking at the weather, things are not looking so good for us here with the weather. They've been seeing some hail over in Chatsworth. If you found hail, let us know and send us a tweet, send us a picture of it, and we'll give you credit for it here on Hot News Talk Radio. That's AM 1240. If you see any examples of hail, definitely let us know, and we'll retweet it on our Twitter account here at Hot News Talk Radio to let other people know. If you see hail, take a picture of it and send it to us on Twitter, and we'll retweet it in case there are any more examples of hail that other people need to know about. If you're in the area, definitely let us know, and we'll retweet you to let you know along with your photos. This is Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We are everywhere. Listen live to Hot News Talk Radio at hotnewstalkradio.com. Download the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is on Twitter, where you report the world decides. It's AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. Save half off now. Go to Hot News Talk Radio and click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio is saving you money. That's AM 1240 at Hot News Talk Radio. Looking at the weather now, where it's about it's in the 70s, according to reports that I'm just now getting, and we're seeing quite a lot of precipitation. It's about 73 degrees, according to the reports I'm getting, and we're seeing quite a few thunderstorms here as well. It's a little bit windy. 11 miles per hour is the wind, nothing too major, but we are seeing a bit of rain, and 73 degrees is the temperature here at Hot News Talk Radio Studios. I do see a bit of rain coming down as well. Not as bad as it was before, but it's been flaring on and off. We've been seeing it sprinkling and then raining heavily and then sprinkling again. So we'll let you know about that here on Hot News Talk Radio. But for now, it's 73 degrees with a 58% chance of precipitation. We've been seeing issues of hail as well. 84 degrees is what we're seeing for tomorrow with scattered thunderstorms, about a 60% chance of that. On Thursday, 85, and that's the high temperature. Some precipitation on Thursday as well. Friday, more precipitation, 87. Saturday, 86, 50% chance of precipitation. On Sunday, 20% chance of precipitation, and 87 degrees. So keep that in mind. We're seeing some problems with rain throughout the rest of the week, but overall, it's not a terrible looking week, but we'll keep you updated on that here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240, where things are not looking so great in terms of our temperatures right now and our weather conditions, where we are seeing problems with it raining quite a lot. So we'll keep you updated on that here on Hot News Talk Radio. We have a lot of great programming here on Hot News Talk Radio. We have Don Imus in the morning. He's been in radio longer than I've even been alive. It's Don Imus here on Hot News Talk Radio. He's been around for a long time. He really knows the business well, and he's got a great staff behind him as well. It's Imus in the morning from 6 to 9. Laura Ingraham is also on. She's a former attorney. Don't know if she still practices, and she's very much into the political situations that are arising. She's very, very involved in immigration as well. That's Laura Ingraham from 9 to noon here on Hot News Talk Radio. From noon to 1, we have my show, which is Digital Drive, where we talk about local economy and more about the tech sector on my show, which is Digital Drive. We've been talking about the USA Freedom Act, which just passed, and the president is expected to sign it within the next hour or so. That's my show's Digital Drive from 12 to 1 right here on Hot News Talk Radio. Nuganomics.com with David Toulis is David's show where he talks about local economy and free markets here on Hot News Talk Radio. He's very much into local economy, very much into free markets, a very Nuga-centric position, which is the idea that your local area is the best area, and you should be focusing on that with all of your purchases, as Nuganomics.com. After that is Sean Hannity from 3 to 5, where Sean's been interviewing a lot of presidential candidates who are up for the presidential bid. Presumably, he's going to be interviewing Mitch McConnell pretty soon as well regarding the USA Freedom Act. He mentioned that on his show, and that's Sean Hannity right here from 3 to 5 on Hot News Talk Radio. What you're listening to now is Hot News Now, and coming up in just a few minutes is Cowboy Up with Tex, where Tex comes in and talks about the different issues as they arise, and he talks about the day's events right here on Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. The USA Freedom Act has just passed, and it's supposedly going to be limiting NSA surveillance, and it's just passed in the Senate, and the president is expected to sign it very soon. The Senate has now passed the USA Freedom Act. Legislative efforts intended to reform aspects of the United States intelligence community's surveillance operations have cleared Congress and are expected to be signed into law immediately by the president. The Senate voted 67-32 on Tuesday in favor of the USA Freedom Act, adopting the same version of the bill that had overwhelmingly passed the House of Representatives last month by 338 votes against 88. Backers of the USA Freedom Act say that the bill ends the bulk collection of telephone call records by the National Security Agency as revealed in 2013 by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden, as well as brings reform to the secret court, the FISA courts, that oversees surveillance requests and increases transparency. The FISA courts came into being in the 1970s. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is an adamant critic of the bill up until the moment of Tuesday's vote, and he had unsuccessfully tried earlier in the day to tack on amendments that opponents said would have weakened efforts to reform nation surveillance operations. Had McConnell's amendments been accepted by the Senate, then the new version of the USA Freedom Act would have had to go back to the House to be voted again, further delaying that passage. With the Senate's passage of the clean reform bill that's already cleared in the House, the USA Freedom Act is expected to soon end up on the desk of President Barack Obama to be signed into law. Earlier this week on Sunday, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest issued a statement urging the Senate to act swiftly in passing the USA Freedom Act because the administration had determined the latest edition of the bill struck a reasonable compromise balancing security and privacy. And he says, allowing us to continue to protect the country while implementing various reforms. And that includes prohibiting bulk collection through Section 215, FISA pen registers, and national security letters. Section 215 of the Patriot Act, of course, came in the post-9/11 counterterrorism legislation passed by George W. Bush after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. This is Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We are everywhere. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and be sure to listen live on hotnewstalkradio.com. Get the TuneIn Radio app and search for Hot News Talk Radio. Hot News Talk Radio is also on Twitter, where you report the world decides. That's AM 1240. Hot News Talk Radio. Save half off now. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and click on the half off link for great deals. Hot News Talk Radio saves you money. That's AM 1240. Hot News Talk Radio. Tune in from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We're going to be talking about all the different items that we have half off on hotnewstalkradio.com. The temperature right now is about 73 degrees. We're seeing some hail in Chatsworth, so keep an eye on that. Seeing some hail in different areas, so driving conditions may not be optimal in a lot of different areas around here. So keep an eye on that. The weather conditions are not looking very good for us. This is Hot News Talk Radio again, AM 1240. And we're seeing rain expected for tomorrow as well. So be careful of that. Rain is expected for tomorrow and pretty much through the rest of the week. So we're keeping an eye on that, and we'll keep you updated on the weather situations here on Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240. So for now, the USA Freedom Act has passed in the Senate, and it's going to the president to be signed. So we're keeping an eye on that, and you can listen live on 12 to 1 to Digital Drive, which is my show. We're going to be talking about that quite a lot and what the USA Freedom Act actually entails, which is what a lot of other news outlets are not wanting to cover. We're going to be talking about that quite a lot here on Hot News Talk Radio. And Cowboy Up with Tex is coming up in just a few minutes as well, right here on Hot News Talk Radio, right after CBS News, where he's going to be talking about the day's events. And on Thursday is Texas Weekend Roundup, right here on Hot News Talk Radio, where he talks about all the different local events that are going to be occurring. He really keeps up on these things. Tex is also sometimes our correspondent on the ground. He's really good at that as well. His show is Cowboy Up with Tex right here on Hot News Talk Radio. That's AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga. CBS News. I'm Harley Carnes. CBS News has learned the 26-year-old man shot dead by police and the FBI in Boston today had been on their radar for several months. Osama Rahim, according to federal law enforcement sources, was Islamist radicalized and inspired by ISIS